again, everybody. Here we are on the Talking Jets Network. This is the ArmChair GM show. I am Green Bean alongside my good buddy Tigo from Talking Jets with Tigo. It is Wednesday. We have news on top of news on top of news with this franchise. They don't know how to bring us a championship, but they do know how to keep us engaged and talking about this team, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise. We have lots to discuss. Tigo, my friend, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, and I think you said it perfectly. This team can't bring us a championship, but boy, does it know how to stay in the headlines, good, bad, or ugly. So yeah, I'm excited.
We are right, man. We know how to do it. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. This is the stuff we do, man. Like, we got to talk it out, right? We got to talk it out. We have to vent. We have to process. Now, I'll admit, I don't always love the way that some of our brethren and sistren choose to process, but it's very important. And it's healthy. You can't hold it in. You end up having a heart attack at 50 years old or whatever it is. You don't want that. So let it out, man. But we attack each other. Somebody has a bad game and they suck and we got to cut them and they're a failure. It's like, all right, well, maybe we can tone it down a little bit, but that comes with the territory. And
I like having a reaction on Sunday, like right after the game, like the first 2 to 3 hours after the game. That's all. Like, if you text me or if you call me and you be like, "What did you think?" Everybody sucks. Everybody needs to die. And then it's just like, okay, I've calmed down. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when they interview players, like especially like in the locker room, like they're still taking their uniforms off. You know what I mean? Like that. And you're like, how do you feel? And they're like, I'm fucking pissed. That's how I feel. I hate everybody. I hate you. I hate, I hate the team. I hate everybody. So I hate my wife. You know what I mean? It's like everything. So it's really, you don't really get, I mean, they say it's the raw emotion. Yeah. And I get it, but that's not necessarily the accuracy that we're looking for either. It's like when we're emotional, remember, guys, emotions have no logic. There's no logic present when you're emotional. So if somebody's pissed off or disappointed or sad or what have you, they do all kinds of things. They say things. So it's not really accurate. They burn it off in a minute and they go, oh, on second thought, here's what I think. So that kind of comes with the territory, though. And we know, and this is what it is. It's a drama filled experience now, clicks and headlines. And that's what we're doing. Dakota checking in first, the motivator.
Right.
That's right. He is first, man. Alan Doge, who I just spent the last hour with. Let's ride Steeler Nation. Yeah, man. We have to, we don't know who we're really playing and whether it's Russell Wilson or if it's going to be Justin Fields. They're saying Wilson, but I don't know. There's a voice out there for the idea that this is all smoke, which would be interesting. Jeff Olberg said, hey, man, we're prepared for both, So I like that. Yeah, just prepare. Who knows who's going to pop out there. Sodak checking in. Good to see you, my friend. Alex Canillo is in the house. JETS using the emojis. I love that. Todd is here. Howdy to you, Todd. Big Green. Right on, man. Mr. Hands. Davante Adams, I think, is who he's talking about. We could really use a sure set of hands, Tigo. I think that's something that will help us. Tony Alexio in here, Unleash Green Bean Mania and Tigo time. Right on, dude. Tony Alexio, one of the best. One of the best. He started out calling us all dummies, and then we
wore him down.
Created the Strebler package. We love Tony. Tony's the best, man. Duncan McLean's in the house. Somebody just said to me, I think a comedian friend of mine, Duncan, Joe Conti, hanging out with Mike Morse, the guys I used to work with comedically. And I just talked to him today, and he said, "Hey, I met a guy. He said he knows you. He watches your channel or whatever. His name's Duncan." He said, "I don't know his last name, but I don't know. You figure Duncan, if it's rare enough." I said, "Oh, I know Duncan. He's great. He's one of my fucking faves, man." So good to see you. Tigo's here, as we know, Alan and HW. You just know Rodgers is going to retire. Adams will be unhappy and want to trade. I know. It's so hard to absorb any positivity. It's like we just see this as exacerbating the suck. The implosion is just that much bigger now, right? I hear you. I really do. Maybe 4 years from now, we'll be a 500 team. I hear you. So hello, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's do this. So Tigo and I have a few subjects that we'd like to talk with, about with you guys. And don't forget what we try to do here is we try to look at things from a general manager perspective. What would we do if we were the general manager right now? I'm a little stupid when it comes to numbers, so I say some stuff. I'll say it, but I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about when it comes to the specifics of a contract, and I admit that. I'll still say shit, but I don't necessarily, that's not my area of strength. But as far as like building a team and knowing what's right and wrong and logical, I fancy myself pretty good. Tigo fancies himself better than me. So that's why we made this show. I know I'm better than Tigo, but I want to entertain him believing that he's smarter than me in this respect. So that's what's fun about it. Now, we get off course and we come back and everything, but our goal is to talk about this stuff from the general manager perspective, not the fan perspective. So that's what we're doing here. Now, our first subject tonight will be, and hello to everybody else, Matt and Dre Day and Aaron Daniels and JD and all you guys, we see you. But so our first subject is this. We just made a trade. I mean, really good timing, by the way. I don't know if it's Woody Johnson or Joe Douglas, who's been, he's been missing in action. Woody Johnson's been out front since the Robert Saleh firing. I don't know where Joe Douglas is or what he's doing or how he feels. We don't know. Nope. So Woody said, Tigo, that thinking is overrated. Sometimes you got to go with your gut, which I can understand. But then he used Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights as the supporting evidence for such a thought, which I don't know if he realizes that is a comedically stupid person to base your thoughts on. But so whether it's Woody or Joe Douglas, the point remains, we lost a disappointing game on Monday night to a division rival. We had the opportunity to capture first place after a couple other disappointing games. We lose the game, and then right on the heels, we trade for Davante Adams, a player that many Jets fans, I'll even venture to say most Jets fans were hoping that we would pull in here for obvious reasons. History with Rodgers, history in the offense, one of the elite wide receivers in the NFL on the back nine, fair enough, but still can be a serious threat, especially when pairing with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm going to ask you this question, and then I'm going to give my thoughts. Is this a smart move, number one? Are we just overpaying a tired, old, washed-up version like we've done in the past and hoping that our team turns around, or is it just enough, of what the doctor ordered to kind of push us over that hump? Because, Tigo, we lost 3 games by a combined 10 points. Is Davante enough to push you over and make some of those close losses wins? So which side are you on? And give me your reasoning from the general manager perspective. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to answer this question.
I think we win all 3 of those games if Davante was on this team. We all knew going into this season what the main priority, the area was. It was our biggest argument in the offseason between you and me, Green Bean, which is, what do you do with that first round pick? Is it a wide receiver? Like, is it a weapon or is it an offensive tackle?
Right.
And we both ended up being right because, well, Joe Douglas tried to go get a weapon, and then when he got to 10 and they were all gone, took an offensive tackle. And I'm not trying to say that that was a bad move, but the reality is Davante Adams gets us a touchdown against the Bills. He does. I'm not saying he does
Which
it directly.
one is a touchdown? What? So you think the Garrett Wilson drop?
He directly gets a touchdown. But what I'm saying is having him on the field, you're going to shade coverage to him, which is going to open up things for everybody else. Garrett Wilson had 23 targets last game, right? And that is way too many targets. If, let's say, 13 of those targets went to Davante Adams, I think they both get 100 yards easily. Because if you throw the ball 13 times to Davante Adams, 10 times to Garrett Wilson, they both get 100 yards because there's more field to work with because you can't cover everybody. And that's just the way that I look at it. And the other thing is if you watch like the Raiders and you watch how Vegas plays, Davante Adams is consistently getting open. They just don't have a quarterback that can get the ball to him.
That sounds familiar.
That's just how it, like, the Raiders had an opportunity to take a quarterback last year, and they didn't. And they thought that Minshew Mania was going to be good enough, and it wasn't. We all wanted Gardner Minshew as a backup, and there was a reason for that. And they said, nope, he's going to be our starter. We're not going to take the quarterback. We're not going to do anything along those lines. And they're suffering the consequences of that now. Davante Adams addresses what was, up until that trade, still the biggest area of need for the team. Mike Williams, and let's not even get to the emotional part of back-to-back games where Mike Williams directly leads to an interception because of his mess up. But we all knew we didn't know what we were going to get out of Mike Williams. Everybody who scouted out, and we'll talk about him later, Malachi Corley, knew that he was going to be a project. Xavier Gibson, no matter how much Aaron Rodgers loves the kid, isn't ready. And performances aside, I still hate Alan Lazard, but he's been playing. We only have two wide receivers that can catch the ball right now. It's Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard. And I cannot believe I just said that about Alan Lazard, but it's true.
Yeah.
They're the only two people that are catching balls consistently for the team that aren't like the running backs, and Aaron Rodgers continues not to target tight ends. So I think you definitely needed to go get Davante Adams, and it was a good move for the team overall, even if we're not getting 2016 Davante Adams. I don't think we need that. I think we just need an upgrade at wide receiver.
Your time is up, my friend. So, okay. So you're saying it was the move to make, essentially. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to rebut, and I'm going to unfortunately, okay. I think I have to agree a little bit here. Here's the thing. All right. I'm going to start my timer. So here we go. Here's what so Tigo just said that he feels that if Davante Adams is on the field in the Buffalo game, we score we win the game. We score another touchdown. Maybe not to Davante Adams, not saying he would have caught the one that Garrett Wilson dropped when he got pancaked. Look, that's one of those things, defenders knock the ball out. It happens. It's not indicative of the receiver sucking. You'd like to see him get it. I think if he had the ball in his hand, maybe a second earlier to secure it, maybe we're looking at a different result. That said, on the side that I agree with Tigo here is that I think Davante Adams being on the field changes the way that defenses are going to scheme against us and what they're able to do. Now, look, the last couple games, they're still trying to take Garrett Wilson out of the game. They can't, right? He, like you said, 23 targets. I think he had 12 or 13 receptions for 107 yards and a touchdown, something along those lines. So he and Aaron Rodgers are starting to develop that chemistry. I think that the Downing insertion is helping that. But here's the whole thing. I think Davante Adams coming is a positive. But I'm going to lean on HW's comment, I think it was. I can't help. From a general manager perspective, is this the problem? Is this the problem? I have a problem at left tackle right now. And, by and large, the entire offensive line, they're gelling they're not what I need them to be. So where are my resources going? What's behind Tyron Smith? Well, thankfully, I have first round pick Olu Fashanu, who, by the way, he's a left tackle. Moving him to right tackle, can he do it? Yeah, he can do it, but he's going to have his hiccups, and we saw that. He had his good moments and his bad moments. Sadly, especially with the offensive line, your bad moments are going to be glaring, and your good moments, they're just par for the course. They're just a regular old-fashioned play. So here's the thing. I think that we got to be careful about how much emphasis and we're an expectation we're putting on Davante Adams to save us. And that's where the problem lies. I think the entire team can get caught up in this A-Rod Davante Adams thing and just start to expect them. They're going to save us. And that's not the case. He's got to come in and be a role player. He's got to play his part. And if we do that, I think it can be a success. We'll see, because he's coming right into play. And that's the great thing about having a turnkey guy, Tigo. Very exciting. So we kind of agree, but I have a little bit more trepidation.
I was trying to allude to that in terms of Garrett got 24 targets. I was one short, and it was 8 receptions for 107 yards. And that's just not really efficient. You should, if you get targeted 24 times and you're only catching 8 of them, that's a problem. Yeah. That's a big problem. And I think that the point that I was trying to get at is, like I said, you're not getting 2016, 2018 Davante Adams. And that's okay, because we don't need Davante Adams to be that. What we need Davante Adams to do is to be the complement to Garrett Wilson that we don't have. And that's that. Don't expect him to be the new offense. That's not it. Garrett Wilson should still probably be the priority target because he's younger, he's more athletic. But having somebody that Aaron Rodgers immediately feels comfortable with and just, I don't know what's going on. I know Tay is down there somewhere. Go get it. Yeah, like the example with the Mike Williams interception when he said, look, the receiver's supposed to be at the red line. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? That's where he's supposed to be. I'm looking, because if you watch that breakdown, there's some really great breakdowns. Orlovsky and Ocho did some really good work with that. And you can see the play is designed to draw the safety inside. Alan Lazard plays it perfectly. He raises his hand. I'm open. He's got to pull. Aaron Rodgers is also playing his part. He's staring it down. He's looking the safety that way. So it works. Mike Williams is perfect if he does his route. So Aaron Rodgers, the way he said it, is I'm doing essentially a no look. I'm just turning for a second and throwing it, and I realize he's not there. So I have to adjust during the throwing motion, and that's what you saw. You know what I mean? So the last second is when his eyes switch over. Yeah, you can kind of see it. He's already here, and it's just yeah, and he's like, holy shit, he's not there. Let me try to get it to him. And now, it's crazy. Our buddy Blitz Crew checking in says, just ask this to Matt and BJF. If you guys don't know who that is, that's Blowjob Franklin. Wait, Buffalo Jets. That's who it is. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a different guy. Is Olu a better left tackle than the current version of Tyron Smith at this point? What's the move at safety with Clark situation? So this is one of the things that I did hope to later in the show get to. We can talk about it now, which is the offensive line. Tyron Smith has given up as many sacks in 6 games that he gave up in the last 5 years, which is the very Jetsy thing, right? Do you think that Olu Fashanu is a better option, Tigo? And I'll use the timer. Blitz Crew, I'll take your super chat off, but thank you so much for your undying support. You're one of the most staunch and loyal supporters, and I'm grateful for you. But I'll take it off so we can see the timer. Answer the question, Tigo, from a general manager perspective. What are you looking at here? Tyron Smith was your big free agent signing on the offensive line, and he's just not doing what you had hoped, at least up to this point. Are you ready to pull the plug? Are you thinking that the rookie is
is a better option at left tackle than the great Tyron Smith at this point?
I think that it's probably going to be an unpopular opinion, and I think Tyron Smith has not been the Tyron Smith that we've been promised, right? The best tackle in the NFL, and because that's what he was before he got here, and then he gets here and he's not that. I don't necessarily think that he has been like atrocious. And there are problems in his game. I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to say that he's been good either. But I was having this conversation in the group chat, and I'm just like, I'm at a point where the season is on the line. And this is why, like, as a GM, I'm happy I don't have to answer this question. Like, because obviously it's going to be the head coach that needs to make this decision. But and Ulbrich can make that decision. But it's just like we made sure to get a high level backup for him. And we've seen Olu play, and he's played well. There is a legitimate conversation to be had where you got to go and you got to say, like, Olu's going to hold up in pass protection better than Tyron Smith at this point. And it might be that he's still recovering from the injury. It might be that he needs a couple of weeks, and maybe you can disguise it with that. And you can say, look, you're not doing what we need you to do right now. We're going to give Olu a run for 4 weeks, get healthy, get 100%. And we'll try it again after, like, when we play when we play New England again, whenever that is, we can, like something along those lines. It's just a matter of, it's a difficult conversation to have. I don't love that he's taking veteran rest days and all of those things. And it's just like we don't have that luxury. That's the sad truth. We don't have the luxury at this point in time for our offensive tackle to take veteran rest days. It's just not an option. And so, look, I don't think Smith is absolutely the worst answer. And it's probably because of my fear of, I don't know if Olu's ready. That's my biggest fear. My biggest fear is, like, yes, if you could replace Tyron Smith, do it. We're not going to go out and trade for a left tackle. You have to find the solution in-house. Is Olu the answer? We took him in the first round. Hopefully he is. But you're really going to bank the health of Aaron Rodgers on Olu, because it can get worse. It can get worse.
Right. Yep.
Well, just as much as it can get better. And that's my biggest fear. And that's why I'm trying to, like, beat around the bush here, is because I don't know what the answer is. Like, and it's good that I don't know what the answer is. And it's just like, okay, like, that's great. I wish I had the tape on Olu in practice, but I don't. And so I'm willing to risk it and put Olu in. He's younger. He's more athletic. He's less injury prone, but I'm scared because it can get worse before it gets better. And Pittsburgh Steelers are no joke.
Right, man. Like, it's like, you don't know what you got till it's gone, so to speak. And we, look, we've had worse left tackles. We've had worse everything.
Last year?
Let me rebut. And then I one of the things I want to do, I want to get your comments on the subject too, guys. So we'll go back. I see some Davante comments that I want to put up there. I have a poll up there right now for you guys. On this question right here. So let me start the timer for me. And I'm gonna say I won't even need the time, I don't think. But here's from the general manager and my discussions with the coach and all that, because like you said perfectly, I'm not going to be able to go find a better left tackle situation out there in, trades or, practice squads. It's just, I'm not able to fix this, man. So we got to have this discussion on what's the best option right now. Is Tyron Smith a little banged up? So can he, benefit from taking a week or two? Here's what I would literally say. And I would make sure Tyron Smith and Olu Fashanu know this. You're Tyron Smith. You are playing. You're going to get the first half. As soon as it starts to break down, we're going to be putting Olu Fashanu in. So if you play the whole game and it's great, fantastic. Then you stay in the whole game. But it's got to be a short leash. And we're going to put the kid in. If there's 2 sacks in the first half, or a sack and 4 pressures, whatever the hell it is, something that's, you're clearly getting beaten today and Aaron Rodgers' life is at risk, then we're putting Olu Fashanu in. And it just is what it is. And like you said, maybe it's a short stint, maybe it's 2 weeks, maybe it's 3 weeks, unless he's just, rocking the Casbah, so to speak. We can put you back in, go and heal up, take a minute, back up, just reset. And you can, and we can, introduce the idea of you coming back in. But that's what has to happen. Here's where we are. We're talking about accountability. We're talking about, high expectations. If your left tackle is getting beat, all game, and Aaron Rodgers is getting blindside sacked, you can't just, it's our left tackle. It's just you have a first round pick. Yes, he struggled at right tackle, but it's not his natural position. He would need time over there to I know they were working it out in preseason. They want him to be the swing. That's fine. But his natural position is left tackle. He happens to be a very strong pass protector. That's the most important thing. If you have to pick one, you'd pick the pass protection. So I would say exactly that. Tyron Smith, you're our guy. But if you're struggling again, we're going to be putting the kid in. Just know that ahead of time. It's not a threat or anything. It's just where we are. Accountability is the word of the organization right now. Look, I'm using the time because I can't shut up. So that's the way it's going to be. Olu's on deck, and Olu, be ready to play, because if Tyron Smith falters, you're going in. That's the way I see it, everybody. So let's get to
that message needs to be important. That it's a short leash. That's what I really liked what you said. It's a short leash. It's your job right now, but you're on the edge, my guy. If Aaron, if a stiff breeze hits Aaron Rodgers from the left side, Olu's going in. Kind of
right. It's got to be that. We can't have that again. We cannot risk the most important asset that we have. See, look, we can argue back and forth about if he's still the same Aaron Rodgers, if he's old, and we can do that ad nauseum. It does not change the fact that he's the most important thing on this team. We go as Aaron Rodgers goes, and if he's getting killed all game, we're not going very far. So we're going to back it up a little bit to some Davante Adams comments from the chat. People calling Adams washed, but a month ago he put up 110 yards and a touchdown versus the Ravens with Gardner Minshew as the quarterback. Right. Yep. I think he still got plenty of gas. Now, again, like Tigo said, maybe he's not 2018 Davante Adams, but he's still one of the better receivers in the league. And I would venture to say better than Gibson, Lazard, Mike Williams, the way he's playing right now. Like, it's an improvement. And Garrett Wilson, that's why I hate the idea that Mike Williams has fallen out of favor so far. I mean, obvious reasons, but I hate it because the idea of having a wide receiver core of Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams, and Mike Williams is fucking exciting, man. But he's off. It's clear. It's clear that he's off. Sodak checking in, Tigo. He says, did I hear that right? Tigo said wide receiver was our biggest area of need before the Adams trade. Want to clarify or reinforce that statement?
I know a lot of people are like, oh, the defensive line. But I was like, we started the year off on the defensive line with a ton of players on injury, and
we lost JJ.
Reddick not playing. And I'm not saying that that's not an area of need, but like defensively outside of the 49ers game, like that's not that where we've struggled hasn't been on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, we can't stop the run and there's things like that. Where we've struggled is capitalizing and scoring points. We're not capitalizing, and a lot of that could be attributed to Hackett and all of those different things, but we scored 9 points against the Broncos. They scored 10. It's a good defensive performance. The Vikings got 23 points, and we scored 17. 23 points in today's day and age in the NFL where you can't play defense. Like, that's not insurmountable. And
right, and only 6 in the second half, too.
Yeah, it's the whole point is that, like, yes, I'm not, and you know what? We'll pivot into this topic since it got brought up, because I wanted to talk about it while we were talking about Davante Adams in a very similar light. But it's just like, now the biggest area of need is the defensive line. And as a GM,
right,
there are moves that we can make to make this team better. And at this point in time is right about the time when teams are making the decision, are we real? Are we not real? Or are we mortgaging for the future? Are we mortgaging the future, or are we leveraging now for the future? Teams are going to have to start making that decision. We saw that with the Raiders getting rid of Davante Adams. We saw that with the Cleveland Browns getting rid of Amari Cooper. They're making that decision to say, okay, look, we're not going to win. We're not going to be competitive this upcoming draft class. Let's see what we can get.
Yeah.
And so I think you and I both agree that the defensive line is the area that we need to go address. Hassan Reddick has now been given permission to go search for a trade. So I didn't tell you this with good reason, because what I'm about to bring up is ridiculous. There's no other way to say it. It's kind of ridiculous, but I'm kind of here for it. We did just call Las Vegas and make a deal for Davante Adams.
Mm-hmm.
And a certain player that is on Las Vegas did say before in an interview, wherever Davante goes, send me. Are you so bought into this team that you would be willing to say, look, we traded for Davante, we've reworked his contract. This is almost guaranteeing that Aaron Rodgers comes back next year and Davante is coming back next year. Do you give what would probably end up having to be 2 first-round picks to go get Max Crosby?
No, there's no way. I would give. There's a lot I would give, but let's see. How old is Max Crosby these
27.
days? All right, he's 27, so he's not old.
Nope. And he'd be under contract for the next 3 years.
Not 2 firsts. I'd consider a first. Though 2 first-round picks
this year and next year, the 2 Aaron Rodgers years. You don't get a first in the 2 Aaron Rodgers years, but you get one of the best edges in the NFL under a contract that you can control the contract. I'm not saying it's a good idea. That's not the point. I'm just saying, look, we did already make a deal with Vegas. We're already friendly. We might as well just keep the conversation going. And Max Crosby directly impacts the run and the pass. We haven't been able to get a sack. Max Crosby is going to do that, and you can't double team both Max Crosby and Quinnen Williams. You can't do it. I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying it might be an option. Vegas seems dead in the water.
Not 2 firsts, man. That's too rich. For me, 2 firsts is like quarterback land. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it is for me. Like, 2 firsts is extremely rich. Now, would you give a first? We can have that discussion for sure. But 2 firsts, I'm sorry, I just can't. I cannot pay that ransom. Now, if you ask the Seattle Seahawks, who gave 2 firsts for Jamal Adams, I mean, that's a different thing. But I can't do it. That's my answer. I would love it, and I would do anything I could to kind of try to work around that. But 2 first-round picks, so that means that we don't have a first-round pick till 2027. That's a tough pill. That's a tough pill.
I agree. I think it is also rich. Be very clear. But I went online and I started searching and I said, what are people saying there? What are people thinking that the value for Max Crosby is right now? And a lot of the places that I read said that if you're going to lure away Max Crosby from the Las Vegas Raider, the bare minimum starting price is a first-round pick, and that the reality might end up being multiple first-round picks. And so, again, I just wanted to pose the question. Again, there are other options. There are other options. You don't need to get Max Crosby. I think you can very easily
look at this real quick. And I'll get right back to you, Alan. Frankie from Flatbush says 2 firsts for Crosby and 2/3.
Sign me up. Where do I sign?
That's a different story. You know what I mean? It's a different story. Tigo says, sign me up. I got to think about it.
I would do
I got to
it.
dance around. So you
I
got to
think
take
Crosby
Reddick.
would be such a massive upgrade to the defense.
You got to take Reddick off my hands.
Well,
You're an
yeah. Reddick goes the other way.
You're
Reddick
an
is
AFC team. You know what I mean? It's safe. Just take them.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah. Reddick
That's
could
an
be part of the
interesting
deal.
question.
Whatever.
I'd have to think about that. 2 first straight up is too much for me. It just is. Now, and I hear you, like, we're all in, like, look, Reddick didn't show. We lost Huff, JFM, and the guys. You're thinking, okay, well, we got Will McDonald going into year 2. We got Hassan Reddick coming in. JJ's a stud. We lose JJ. Reddick doesn't show up. That leaves us very, very thin. I mean, that's it's just the way that it is. So it's a big need, man. It's a big need, and he's elite. And he's like, I don't know. I like the way he plays too. It's not just the results. Like, I don't know. I think he makes an impact even on plays he's not getting home. I just, he wears teams down. He's an aggressive, strong. I just love the way he plays. Alan Dodes, thank you, buddy, for your support for 13 months, 11 personnel. That's F the world, isn't it? Isn't that what he's doing there?
For the win.
For the win. Okay, thank you. See, jumbo formations or at least 3 wideouts all the time. Good luck keeping 8 in the box with Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams. This move helps the O-line too. You're not wrong. And let me tell you something. Frankie talks about it all the time, and I agree. We like to bring in these 12s and 13s, which are my faves, by the way. But if you're not able to bring that personnel grouping in and dominate, then there's no reason to have them in. Like, if you can spread them out with 11 personnel and run out of it, which that's the most success we have when we run out of 11 personnel, then do that.
Especially with the trend in the NFL that you counter 11 personnel with nickel packages. Yo, slot corners can't tackle. Not guys the size of Breece Hall and
That's right.
And Braylon Allen. Like, you just can't bring those guys down. So no, I totally agree.
Blitz Crew's concerned. Thank you, Alan. He's concerned that trading the 2 firsts for Max Crosby prevents us from drafting the quarterback of the future when inevitably the bottom falls out. But I'll tell you, the hope is that you make these moves, Blitz Crew, and your pick, 30 to 32. Like, that's the hope, right? That you're at the end of the draft. So it mitigates that pain for some reason. You wouldn't be getting those guys anyway. So that's kind of, that's what you're betting on. But, we know the Jets, it's hard to be confident like that. Sodak checking in. Thank you, buddy. He says, I know we have to talk about Adams and the O, but we made it into the red zone 4 times Monday. Lack of pressure from the D-line on quarterbacks and running backs is the problem. Jay Mason, Ty Chandler, Ray Davis, Ty Johnson all looked like prime AP. What is Adrian Peterson? I hear you, man. So what do we do about that? And that could be our next question. So as far as the needs, right? We talked about Davante Adams, whether it's good or bad. We talked about the Max Crosby trade. We talked about the O-line, Tyron Smith, Olu Fashanu battle, which I'll close that poll in a second. I'm real curious to see what the chat says. What about the idea? Well, look, it's trade time. What about the idea of going out there and shoring up the interior? I mean, defensive tackles that just clog the space, they're notoriously cheap. I mean, you could, especially look at somebody like the Browns. They have a guy who was here last year, Quentin Jefferson, not necessarily a run stopper per se, but not bad either. Maybe you get, you throw a 6th that way and you can get him back. What do you think about any move like that? Not just that move, but is that something that you'd want to prioritize right now? Because like Sodak says, and I know that's South Dakota Jet, but I like calling you Sodak, man. I like it. Feels good. So like he's talking about, like a big problem. We can't stop the run, and we can't do it.
There are 2 moves that I would make. If I'm the general manager of the Jets right now, there are only 2 moves left that I'm making. That is, we need an edge. I can't have Michael Clemens being edge 2 because I'm not giving him that. Like, he can't be the guy starting on that side of the field. I'm done with the experiment. I'm done with it. It's time. It's time. You need to find something else. You got to find something else on that left side. And then the other move is on the interior. Now, I think that you can get the interior move done relatively cheaply in terms of like you said, you go back to Cleveland and say, hey, do you want to swap a 6th and a 7th and you give us our guy back, you give us Quentin Jefferson back because he knows how to play in our system and he was adequate for us last year. I think you can also make a little bit maybe of a bigger kind of swing. Maybe you reach out to the Indianapolis Colts and you say, what do you want for Grover Stewart? You know what I mean? And just have him come in and eat up on the inside. I would like the idea of maybe taking a big swing. I would like one more big swing, whether that's on the edge, whether that's on the interior of the defensive line. I would like to, like I said, bring in go and get a big player. And there is, I think, an answer. I think there's an answer in the state of New York / New Jersey that we haven't necessarily looked at all that serious because, again, move between the two teams aren't all that popular and happen all the time, but the Giants are a dumpster fire. And they've got 2 insanely good defensive linemen that you can pull away. And like I said, I'm a make a big swing kind of a guy at this point because what's the saying? Scared money doesn't make money. Scared ball doesn't win ball. I'm at the point where I don't care about 2 years from now, 3 years from now. We're in the best position to win a chip now. And this team isn't good enough to win a chip right now. But a trade for Max Crosby, that's a big move. A trade for Grover Stewart, that's a big move. A trade for, and this is just tinfoil hat on, a trade for Dexter Lawrence would be a huge move. And so again, it's taking advantage of the teams that they need first round picks. And I'm not saying that any of that is realistic. I'm just saying if you can convince the 1-5 Indianapolis Colts to part ways with a 31-year-old Grover Stewart, I think you should do it.
That's interesting. Conceptually, that's interesting. Like, don't necessarily go to the bottom of the bin. Look at what's floating at the top, the cream, and make a move. Adrian Gutierrez says, I don't care about no 2 first-round picks. Jets ain't no good at rebuilding anyway. Get a proven all-pro, get Crosby. Well, I mean, look, I would counter that, Adrian, with look at our last batch of first-round picks. I think it's a little different than maybe we're used to. Will McDonald, again, not the right pick at that time, but he's among the leaders in sacks in the NFL. Last year, the year before, this year we got Olu Fashanu, then Will McDonald. The year before is Jermaine Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. And then the year before that, I believe, was the Zach Wilson, which no good, but AVT, if he could stay healthy, he's a very, very good player. So it's not the Jets of old up top. So we're able to grab very, very talented impact players in the first round of late. So I don't know. I think your argument, while it makes a ton of sense, and if you look at our history, 100%, but in this regime, we've done quite well in the first round. So they're valuable, man. I hear you, but they're valuable. Now getting a proven guy for right, any draft pick is, they could be the most highly touted prospect in the world. They can come in and suck. We know that as well as anyone. So yeah, getting the guarantee is one thing, but 2 firsts is expensive. So I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's a great steak, but you're charging me $380. Like, All right, I know it's good and I'm hungry. $380? Yeah, but we put a little of the blue cheese on the top of it. Okay, how much is blue cheese? You know what I mean? How much is béarnaise? Like, all right, it comes with a salad. Okay, that's nice too. So I don't know. It's just overpaying is winning. I mean, what does that mean? I mean, great players are great players. If we can't fucking win with Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, you know what I mean? Look, last year we had Bryce Huff, Jermaine Johnson, all the guys. Our defensive line was studly. Sauce Gardner, All Pro, Quinnen Williams. We're still not winning. So there's coaching things. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. So I don't know. I mean, the argument, you can't go that we don't do well with our first round picks and they don't mean anything, and then bring a guy in he's a good player. And, I mean, it's like you're playing both sides a little bit, Adrian. I hear you. I do. But giving up 2 first round picks it's a little rich for my blood. I'll have to think about it. This is fresh. Tigo surprised me. He told me.
Yeah, I wanted the unabashed, unfiltered reaction on purpose, because it's one of those, like, if you're going to make that move, you have to make it now. You can't wait. And so it has to be a gut move. In terms of, like, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it.
Overrated. Maybe gut moves is what we're doing. Maybe, Tigo. Gut. Just go with your gut. Fuck it. 2 first round picks. What do I care? Play it like the Rams did. Maybe. So
ask any Rams fan if they're going to give back the thing, and if they're good with the team kind of being in the spot that it is now. Like, I'd be okay with being mediocre for a couple years and not picking in the first round for a couple years if it meant we did the thing. If we did the thing, I could care less.
Right. Then whatever
and that's where my head is at.
I get it.
That's where my head is at. Is like, go do the thing. Who cares? I don't care. Do the thing.
I get it. I just ended the poll. Would you replace Tyron Smith with Olu Fashanu at this point? If you were the GM, it's very close. 51% said yes. 48% said no. So it's an interesting one. I think the short leash, again, that's my side of it. So obviously I agree with that point. But I think that's probably the way to go at it. You just got to sit with them and let them know, like, look, clearly we want you here. Clearly we believe in you. 5 sacks in 6 games and tons of pressures. You had 5 sacks in the last 5 years. So we just know we're watching. If you play well, the position's yours. If you struggle again, we're replacing you with the kid. And I think that's the way to go. Let's see. So we have another topic we want to bring up with you guys quickly. We only have a few minutes left, like 10 minutes. So Mike Williams, he's rumored to be on the trade block, and he was not practicing today. We heard Aaron Rodgers's comments about that interception on the last offensive play of the game. Interestingly enough, the last 2 games, the last play of the game was to Mike Williams. Both ended up in interceptions. So Aaron Rodgers just flat out said, look, he was in the wrong spot. He's supposed to be over here. That's the way the play is designed. Everything worked. He was in the wrong spot. I adjusted mid-throw. It didn't. And then he fucking falls on his face. So Tigo, what are you doing? From the GM perspective, are you trading Mike Williams? Are you saying, hey man, we got to ride this? This guy's clearly a great receiver in the NFL. He's faltering right now, but I'm gonna keep him, and we're gonna have to make it work. Which side are you on?
I'm keeping him. I'm keeping him just because, like, Mike Williams isn't all that big of a cap hit, $2.7 million cap hit this year. And you can never have too many wide receivers. I don't see, what are you going to get for him? A broken jugs machine, a crisp high five and a beer whenever you play that team next to the stadium. Like that's the reality is what's the value for a guy like Mike Williams right now? It's not good. It's 2 back-to-back games where he's been the direct cause of an interception.
Yeah, you're
So
selling low.
So you're selling incredibly low. And look, has Mike Williams been great for the Jets? No. But the reality is like he can still block route, like he can still block when it's a running play, and he is huge. So you have the opportunity to go out there and get a 50-50 ball if we're in another Hail Mary situation. And like, he's had some good catches in the past. It's just, let's get him out of the spotlight. Mike Williams plays in the second and the third quarter. That's it. Don't start him. You don't have to start him. That's what we got Davante Adams for. And Alan Lazard, I believe someone fact check this, but I think Alan Lazard leads the NFL in touchdowns for the wide receivers, which is insane. But I think he leads the NFL. So it's just like your wide receiver trio right now is Davante Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Alan Lazard. That's pretty good. But you're one injury away from Xavier Gibson being the next guy up if you trade away Mike Williams. I just don't see the value on it. He is a good player that you can have in the middle of the game. Just don't have him in clutch. Last 5 minutes of the first quarter and the first 10 minutes of the second quarter, and the same thing with the third and the fourth. Just maybe when you need the first down, the guy who knows how to stay on the red line should be the guy that you target. Maybe Mike Williams should be the decoy in that sense, and Alan Lazard should go get the ball. Like, it's little things like that where it's just, I wouldn't get rid of him because you're just going to get, like I said, you're going to get a broken jugs machine, a crisp high five, and a beer at the next, and Woody gets a beer the next time they play it, wherever he ends up.
Right. Bag of plantain chips. Yeah, I know. I'm with you, man. Let me end your timer and I'll start mine here. But that's all right. So I have to say, I'm right in lockstep with you, man. I see no reason to dump somebody for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Like if he's wide receiver 4 and you work on some stuff, make sure he really understands the playbook. I saw a comment that he's pissed. Hey, dude, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like you're in the wrong spot. What about the play not too long before that? Went right through his hands, hit him in the dick. So like, whose fault is that, dude? Now he's made some clutch catches, as Billy is saying here. Very exciting too. But, when compared to the mistakes, inconsequential. Like the one big one that I'm thinking of was actually a first down on like third. It was very, very important catch. And that's the stuff that we want and need to see from him. And he can do it. And I think having him out there, like if you have Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams, and Mike Williams on the field, it's defenses are going to be nervous about any of those breaking free. So even as a decoy, they're going to be paying attention. Even if the ball has a 10% chance of going his way, it's still going to be effective.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the value is still there for him, for us to keep him. As far as, trade, what are you going to get? I mean, look, if somebody says, hey, calls and says, hey, I'll give you a second round pick or I'll give you a third round pick, then okay, you can consider it. And then Malachi Corley might be ready. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're doing with him. But hey, who knows? We just got Davante Adams. A week ago, we didn't have Davante Adams. And we were happy, we have Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Lazard. You replace him with, Davante Adams. Somebody's going to give you something of real value. Okay. And then we just upgraded at the position and we go at it that way. But I'm not selling unless somebody blows my doors off. And maybe not blows my doors off, but gives me something that's actually valuable, not a sixth. It's like, doesn't make any sense to me.
That's moving a guy just to move him.
Yeah, he has more value right here, even as a decoy. That's more valuable than a 6th round pick to me at this current juncture. So, yeah, man. I mean, he's coming back from injuries fresh, but he's healthy. They worked him back. He's healthy. He's got to know the offense. That's not the problem. Isn't the injury? The problem is he's in the wrong fucking place on that.
And it's not like he got here so late that he shouldn't know that.
Right.
It's not a complicated play design. Like, that's the thing. It's actually a very, very simple play design. It's a very, very simple concept. And he messed up. And it'd be one thing if he messed up once, but it's back-to-back weeks where he messed up. Like, I hear everyone in the comments being like, oh, he's mad because Aaron Rodgers called him out. I'm like, okay, grow up. You're a man.
Yeah,
you messed up.
right.
Own it.
Yeah. And there's an argument to be made that you keep some stuff in the house. Aaron Rodgers is fed up. He's getting killed, right? He's getting beat up. And then his receivers are dropping passes and in the wrong place. Like, he's like, this is just not going to work. And I've had it. And I'm telling you, I support it. I don't give a shit how he's got to do it. Just get everything right. You know, let the offensive players know, just because your name is Mike Williams, just because your name is Tyron Smith, it doesn't mean that you're locked in and we're going to deal with whatever shortcomings that you're struggling with. You're going to sit. And I like it. I'm a fan. It's new to us over here. And of course, the press, what they do to it, because it's the Jets. And you guys, if you ever had any question about it, that fucking guy, what's his name with the long hair? 2 weeks ago, he said, anybody who gets Davante Adams is getting a stud. He's a game changer. And then he goes to the Jets and he's like, he's an old man. He's not going to do anything. So, I mean, it's 2 weeks ago. Same guy. So all it took was the Jets being the team for him to change his tune. And you see that all over the place. So I don't even look at it. It's like we get all mad and blah, blah, blah. Dude, that's what they're doing. Davante Adams is a stud. Again, Mike Williams, I love having him here. I think that he can turn it around. I'd rather keep him. But like guys like him, big name, Tyron Smith, big name. If you're playing subpar football and our team is at risk, whether it's a player like Aaron Rodgers or the final result of the game, then you're sitting. It's just that simple. Figure it out. We'll relook at you next week, see where you are. But as far as like pouting and stomping your feet, go to hell, man. For real. You're the one that's dropped. It's you. You don't like the way we're handling it, then fix it. That's the way it goes. With that all said, Tigo, we are at the end of our show. We have a big fat minute, sir. Any closing thoughts on this one? Let me ask you this. How do you feel going into Pittsburgh?
Oh, I am terrified. Specifically just of TJ Watt. That's it. I'm not worried about the rest of that team. I don't think that the Steelers are all that good of a team. Like as a whole, like wide receivers, I'm not scared of their wide receivers, and their defense is great. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is awesome, and Elliott's playing well, and Roberts is playing well, and obviously Highsmith and Cam Hayward, but TJ Watt breaks games by himself.
Yeah,
like
he's a game
it's
record.
Just he's gonna suffer from the curse of his brother, which is just like whenever he goes out there and has a 3-sack game, it's just like, oh yeah, that's a standard. And like he doesn't get celebrated for it, even though it's just like, dude, that guy is insanely good. I said it jokingly in a group chat. I was like, I think we should play jumbo packages the entire game. And Olu is the 6th offensive lineman playing as the tight end.
Do that
the whole game. And wherever TJ goes, that's where Olu goes. So if you start him on the left side and you see TJ go over to the right side, you motion him over because you can motion the tight end. You motion Olu over. TJ Watt should never not have a minimum of 4 hands on him at all times. Like I was joking around. I was like, can we send Michael Clemens before the game to go bite his ankles? Just hard enough for him to miss this game, but like not so hard that he misses anything else. He's still going to win Defensive Player of the Year if he misses the Jets game. That's fine. Like it's his award to lose. So that's it. Beat the Steelers.
Yeah,
we're playing Wilson. He's a cuck. Should be easy to beat him.
That's funny. Where do we go from here? Let me just tell you how ridiculous this statement is. We didn't rush anybody back from anything. Last year, he played 6 games. We're not talking about an injury that happened at the end of the year. He had most of the season, the entire offseason. We didn't do anything with him in training camp. We what do you call it? Play counted him. Like, dude, this guy. I'd love to see his percentage of plays this year. Let me see if I can get that real quick. Where is he? Let's see. Snap counts. Let's see. So he's playing 53% of the plays, where guys like Garrett Wilson are playing like in the 90s. You know what I mean? So we're not rushing him back. That's a silly, silly thing. He rushed back to help us. No, he didn't. That's a ridiculous statement. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you. I have no idea where that kind of a comment can come from. To help us, to help you guys. The fuck does that even mean? We gave him $11 million and a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich delivered. Okay? He's not here to help us. He's getting paid to do a job. He's not doing the job. We didn't rush him back. He passed the physical and we slow rolled him the whole time. Like, it makes no sense.
Where we go from here
is we have no luck because I want to fucking see him play. Like, that's ridiculousness. Ridiculous. The ball was in his hands. He dropped it. What does that have to do with his injury anyway?
It's a knee injury.
You could be sitting on your ass. The ball hits in your hands. You catch it. Ridiculous. Karma. Shut up. You need to get out of here. I don't even know if you're trying to.
He's been screaming the whole stream.
I know. Let me tell you something. Where do we go from here? You're an idiot. How's that sound? Whatever arguments, I don't know what's going on in your personal life, man, but you gotta chill. Like, Jesus. You know what I mean, Tigo?
I do. I told him that earlier. I was like, first, dude, relax. It's not that serious. And it's just like, and then I gave him the answer to whatever it is that he was commenting.
Jeez. Holy shit. Anyway.
Beat the Steelers. That's all that matters. Don't let the cuck beat you.
That's right. And we'll see if Russell Wilson actually plays. I'll tell you who I'm most scared of is Najee Harris and Pat
that's
Fryer.
the right answer.
That's who I'm scared of, everybody.
You can only be scared. You should be scared of. It's either TJ Watt or Najee Harris. Najee Harris has found his game again with Arthur Smith out there as OC. So.
Comment of the stream, Kareem Carson, no idiots allowed.
Love it.
I love it. That's great coming from you. Guys, you're the best. We are the finest fan base in the NFL. Tortured like no other, and we're still here. I love you guys, except for that other guy. He's not even a Jets fan. He said you guys, and that tells me all I need to know about that fella or lady, whatever it is. But hey, Tigo, I have a good time with you, my friend, and we're gonna shut it down. How's that sound? Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, guys, have a great night. We will see you next time.